Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another review of 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, Season 3, Episode 9, Fish or Cut Bait, whatever that means. So, Evelyn and Corey, we start off with them. Okay, I understand that when people go through relationship problems, especially when you're married, it's not so cut and dry. You know, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. You want to be together. No, you don't. Yes, you do. No, you don't. A lot of conversations and all of this stuff. But I'm at that point now where I'm like, what are we doing? Are we going to do this? Are y'all going to be together or not? Because I'm tired of, I'm tired of the games that Evelyn is playing. Because Evelyn, like I said previously, she came across as someone who was not about the nonsense. Like she came off like she was really, really tough. No one was going to play with her. She just had this really tough exterior, and and she didn't want to be, and Corey played her. He played her really good. He played her. And there was this one scene a couple of episodes back where they were sitting outside at a restaurant or something. I don't know. They're sitting outside on a table. And Evelyn looked at Corey and said, "Who do you think you are? You think you're Brad Pitt? You think all these women are going to want you here just because you're white and you have blue eyes?" And I'm thinking to myself, okay, now I know, Evelyn, that's the reason why you want him. You think he's Brad Pitt because I don't understand why you're still hanging on to Corey. What is Corey doing for you? What is he offering you other than groveling at your feet, begging to be your little, I don't know what. Like, is this what you like, Evelyn? You like how he's begging and he's following you around everywhere and he's doing all the flowers and the love notes and the begging and the crying. Is this what gets you off? This is what you like, Evelyn? Because I don't understand. This man cheated on you. Come to find out, he cheated on her, or he chose to be with the other woman when Evelyn had got into a car accident, and she reached out to him, and she said he was the only person that she had reached out to when she got into her car accident because a drunk driver hit her. She reaches out to him, and he made the conscious decision to stay with his mistress instead of coming home to his wife who was injured in a car accident. And you want to work it out with him. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. So the majority of this episode was, not episode, the majority of this scene with Evelyn and Corey was about, of them just trying to figure out what they're going to do. They go see a therapist. That's when it comes out, because she was crying. She was really angry. And she told the therapist that, when she cries, it's not because she's sad, it's because she's angry. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, here we go. You come off with this really tough exterior. Like, you're not someone that's going to allow yourself to get hurt, to be wounded, to have heartache. But for whatever reason, you just fall over backwards for Corey. I don't get it. And so that's when she talked about how she was in this car accident, was when they were talking to the therapist. And Corey started off making excuses because the therapist told Evelyn, turn to Corey and tell him exactly what's hurting you. And she turned to him and she says, it was really messed up that when I got into my car accident and I reached out to you, you were not there for me. Instead, you were with your mistress. And Evelyn once again referred to her as a whore. And I wish that she wouldn't, because it's not the woman's fault. It's your husband's fault. But anyways, that's, small potatoes. So at first, Corey was trying to make excuses and everything. And then the therapist was like, if y'all are going to fix this, you need to be honest with her. And you need to be honest about what's happening. And he finally admitted that, yes, when Evelyn reached out to him, he didn't make the right decision. And he regrets not coming back to her when she was in her car accident. He really, really regrets it. So who knows what's going to happen with Corey and Evelyn. And I'm just shocked that she's willing to take him back, because the first, I don't know how many seasons they've been on this show. I guess this is their third season. The first two seasons, or one season, or however many seasons ago it was when we first met them, I never would have thought that Evelyn would go back to Corey after Corey cheated on her. He cheated on you, okay? It's not like he doesn't take out the trash or, he doesn't do stuff around the house. He found another female and was trying to create a life with another female while he was married to you. And he did not care that you were in a car accident. He would rather be with his new thing, his new boo thing. He would rather be with her than come back to you, his legal wife. And you are trying to figure out whether or not you need to stay with him, whether or not you need to work it out with him. Is Evelyn pregnant? Because I don't know, sometimes in some of these scenes, I know it looked like she has gained a little bit of weight, and I'm wondering if it's because of pregnancy. I don't know, maybe she's not pregnant. Like I said, I don't read up on these people on the internet to find out, what the real deal is after they finished recording or filming. I have no idea. But sometimes I look at her and it seems like she's pregnant, but I know that she would not let that happen to her, with all the issues that she has with Corey. Moving on to Steven and Alina. So they send mom back home. Alina's mom is going back home to Russia. She really wants Alina to come home with her because, mama don't see it for Steven. Mama does not want her daughter to stay with Steven. She thinks that Steven is way too immature for her daughter. And he's a hypocrite. Steven has a lot of issues. He doesn't know how to be faithful. He doesn't know how to follow his own religion that he wants everybody else to follow. So he's very hypocritical. He's very, very, very immature. I don't understand why Alina thinks that she's got a real man in Steven. He has so much growing. He has a good 10, 15 years before he finds any ounce of maturity. But whatever. So while they're on their way to the airport, he tells her mom that, wait, what did he tell? He apologized to the mother. He was like, I'm really sorry for what I did. I'm going to try to prove myself, the old shebang. And the mom is like, okay, I'm tired of all your yip yap. I need to see action. I need to see you treating my daughter like you love her, like you respect her, like you honor her. I need to see that. I don't want to hear you say what you're going to do. I need to see you actually put this in action. So they go back. Then when her mom left and they go back home, Alina kind of has second thoughts about staying with Steven in Turkey. And she kind of wishes that maybe she should have gone back to Russia with her mom. And I'm like, that's your conscience. That's that little voice in your head that is trying to steer you in the right direction. And Alina, you really do need to listen to it. I don't know why you want these issues with Steven. Moving on. So they're having spa day. They're sitting in like a Turkish bath. It's like a sauna. It's like a Turkish sauna. They're sitting there, the two of them. And he wanted to do this because he wanted to have like a really fresh start with their relationship and put the past behind them. And, this is his the first step of him proving to Alina how much he's going to change and whatever else. So Alina is like, okay, if you really mean it, if you really love me, you're going to delete your social media because he still hasn't done it thus far. So she tells him, you're going to have to delete your social media. And, he's hemming and hawing and coming up with all these excuses. And so she's not really sure. I think the producers asked her, so if he were to propose to you right now, what would you say? And Alina was like, she said she doesn't know because she doesn't know if, this is the man for her, which I'm about 1,000% sure that this is not the man for her, but whatever, Alina. So then they are having another conversation another day, and they're having another conversation, and or maybe it was the same day, I don't know. They're having another conversation, and she confronts him about the whole Masha setup. She says, you know what, I set you up with no, that's not how she started. She asked him to see if he was going to come clean voluntarily. She was like, well, have you received any, messages from any Russian girls? And I think he denied it. And then she was like, well, what about this girl named Masha? And he acted like, I don't know if he acted like he didn't remember or what the deal was, but he acted like he didn't know. So then Alina was like, well, Masha's my friend, and we actually set you up and you fell for it because you've been messaging her after you promised me that you would stop talking to other girls. You've been messaging her, and she's told me everything that y'all have talked about, and you even invited her to come to Turkey, to grab her bathing suit and come to Turkey, because before they were talking about Steven and Masha were having this discussion, or they were communicating about Utah. I think that's where he's from, about coming to Utah in the winter. And then Masha had asked him something like, oh, so I have to wait until the winter to come see you? And then Steven was like, hey, I'm in Turkey. Grab your bathing suit. Come see me now. So, excuse me. And so Alina confronted him with that. She was like, I know all about that. How could you, So she gets upset about that. And then he tries to deflect and be like, how could you set me up like that? He's like, how could you set me up like that? And she was like, that's not even the issue. The issue is you told me you were not communicating with other girls, and clearly you are. So that's the point. And so, he says in his confessional that, I realize now that Alina setting me up like this, it's not about her wanting a better relationship. It's about her insecurities. Then Elena demands that he deletes all of his social media, which I have said before, that's not going to change anything because he's still living on Earth with other humans, and some of these humans are female, and people can find ways to communicate with each other other than social media. Social media doesn't make cheating possible. It just made it a little bit easier, but that's not what was needed to help people cheat. People were cheating way before social media. So deleting his social media, if it's in his spirit to cheat, he's going to cheat. He's going to find a way. Even if he has to put a note on a pigeon and send it off to another girl, he's going to do it. There's no way to stop it, Alina. Stop being stupid. So he makes excuses about how he cannot delete his social media right then and there because he needs to download all of his pictures. First he told her social media was how he communicates with his family. He said social media is how he communicates with his family, so he couldn't delete it. And then he says, well, he can't delete it because all of his pictures are saved on the social media. And so she said, well, okay, go ahead, save them right now and then delete your social media. And he's like, I don't want to use this park Wi-Fi. Because we were sitting at the park. He goes, I don't want to use all this park Wi-Fi to try to download my pictures. So she's like, okay, let's go home, and then you're going to download your pictures, and then you're going to delete everything right now. And so she's really upset, okay? She seems like she's really upset about this. And she's trying to, I guess, walk away or something, and he's following her, and he's like, baby, you know I love you, right? You know I love you, right? I don't, like, Alina, why? You're young, you're beautiful. This is not it. This is not it, Alina. But hey, if you like it, we love it. Moving on to Biniam and Ariella. So Ariella is in America, and she's talking to Biniam through FaceTime, I'm assuming. And, he's having the time of his life because he's happy. He's hanging out with his friends. He's going out to the clubs. He's having the time of his life. And Ariella doesn't like it. So their whole issue when they're talking is that he turns his phone off. And she has told him many times before, do not turn your phone off. I need your phone to be on. Number one, she doesn't trust him. So she thinks that he's probably with someone else, and that's why his phone is off. And then, of course, number two, if there's an emergency with the baby, she needs to be able to communicate with him. So he said something about he didn't turn his phone off, but he was in the basement, and he had put his phone in airplane mode. And so Ariella's like, well, that's just like you turning off your phone. So Ari is showing a lot of very controlling signs. She's very, very controlling. And I know that she feels sort of out of control because she's in America and he's in Ethiopia. So she has no way to really control him. But Ariella, this is the life that you chose. You decided to leave. You didn't have to because the operation could have been done in Ethiopia for the baby. You chose to leave. And I think she probably might have had ulterior motives. So maybe she's trying to create all of these arguments and these issues of, him cheating on her and her being insecure. Maybe she's trying to create all of this so that she doesn't have to go back to Ethiopia. Maybe her family has really gotten into her ear. If you want the best for your baby, you need to stay right here in Princeton. And so I guess she might feel maybe guilty if she goes back to Ethiopia when I guess a better life might be for her to stay in New Jersey. Biniam later on meets with his friends, and his friends are making fun of him because, his wife is extremely controlling, and his friends were like, that, his friends are worried about him. They're worried that because if she has all these security issues and, thinks that he's cheating on her, she probably is going to use it as an excuse to not come back. His friends were really worried that, he's going to get hurt again. And yeah, basically that. They're like, what's going on here? You're a trustworthy guy. I don't know if he is or if he isn't, but his friends are trying to make him feel better, and they're trying to make him see that, your wife is extremely controlling. And yeah, she really is. I really hope now there's on the upcoming scenes when they show the previews for the next episode, there's this they want you to think that Ariella's not going to come back, because you know how they edit the previews to make them really juicy so you'll watch them. So they're trying to make it seem like, Ariella told him that she's not going to come back, but they probably, edited in a way. I don't know, but I just can't imagine her being so cruel, so evil, to do to him the one thing he asked her not to do, which is to take off to America or wherever with his child. I know that Ariella is not that wicked. I know she cannot be that wicked. So I am going to hold on to hope that the producers are just teasing us, to make it look like she's going to leave him, but, it's not going to go down like that. And that she's probably going to be going back to Ethiopia. Now, another issue with this is that he keeps asking her, when's the surgery for the baby? And she doesn't really give a definite answer. And I'm like, what the hell? Shouldn't that already be planned? Shouldn't that already be in the works? Like, what are you doing? Her mom is a nurse. Like, why isn't this already scheduled? You ran off to America in a hurry as if the baby was going to die any minute if he didn't get the surgery done ASAP in America. Now you're in America and the baby's father is asking you, okay, when's the surgery? And you can't even give him an answer. Like, you don't even, like, what? So I'm wondering if she was just using that surgery just to get away, just to come back to America, either maybe to be with her family and friends again for a little bit, or maybe because she doesn't want to come back to Ethiopia. But I just can't believe that she'd be that evil. Why isn't the baby surgery planned, Ari? Your mom's a registered nurse. She knows. I'm pretty sure she can hook you up with a date real quick. Like, not like she's going to do the surgery, but I'm pretty sure she knows how to maneuver through the hospital system to hurry up and plan this surgery, which you made it seem like was an absolute emergency that it needed to get done, which it did, because the Ethiopian doctor did say that we need to take care of this immediately. So what are you dragging your feet for? Let's move on. Sumit and Jenny. Whoa. Jenny, girl. Oh my God. Let's do this. So Sumit and Jenny, okay, they're still in the kitchen, and now the mother, Sumit's mother, is teaching Jenny how to cook. Now, Jenny doesn't speak, I think it's Hindi, and the mother doesn't speak English. And so I don't know why Jenny thought that things were going well, because clearly they weren't. But the mother is basically insulting Jenny in Hindi, and Jenny thinks that they're just having the time of their lives and that the mother is just so impressed by her. So she's teaching Jenny how to cook, how to do this, how to do that in the kitchen. Jenny is absolutely clueless, because how would she know how to do any of this stuff? Sumit didn't teach her. So, like, why would the mother be upset that Jenny doesn't know how to cook these traditional dishes when no one was there to teach her? But then again, she's been with him for 10 years, and they used to live with his family, when, in the beginning of their relationship and she first started seeing him and she would come to India back in 2013 or something, Jenny would stay with him I don't know why the mother would think that Jenny would know how to prepare these dishes and do all this stuff when she clearly, no one's taught her. So the mom was getting really frustrated with her. She was like, Jenny doesn't know how to do anything. There was a scene where, this wasn't even involving cooking, but there was a scene in the kitchen where Jenny was holding this plastic container, like a plastic jar or something, and she couldn't twist the top off. And she was like, I'm trying. And so the mom just grabs it from her and boop, twisted it off like that. And the mom just looked at Jenny like, you're a complete imbecile. Like, what is my son doing with you? So Sumit is happy that the mother's teaching Jenny how to cook, and he says that this is very reminiscent of how it was back in 2013 when Jenny and the mother got along really, really well, and they were actually friends because the mom didn't know that Jenny was banging her son. So he leaves them in the kitchen. He's like so happy to see them together, because he's like, oh, maybe they'll be able to reconnect again and find that friendship that they had almost 10 years ago. So the mom is telling her, you don't you don't know how to do anything. And she's speaking in her language. She's telling Jenny, you don't know how to do anything. You're useless. And Jenny's just like nodding her head like, oh, yes, 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 yes. Like, this is like she's giving her a compliment. And the mom is like, you need to use your brain. And then in her confessional, she says that Jenny doesn't know anything. And that's when I wrote down here in my notes, well, how is she supposed to know how to cook these dishes when no one taught her? Later on, so Jenny thinks that, okay, so they're having dinner. The mother had cooked Sumit's favorite meal, and it's very manipulative in a way because obviously the mother wants Sumit to come back home and, leave this whole Jenny business behind him. And so she cooks his favorite meal, and, I haven't really seen on the show that she's like really coddling him, but I'm pretty sure she's on her best mommy behavior. I'm pretty sure that she's showering a lot of love on him and she's really spoiling him, to kind of remind him of what he's missing out on. So they cook his favorite dinner. The mom, the dad, Jenny and Sumit, they're all sitting in the living room and they're eating. And the mother says that she tells the father in their language that Jenny is not interested in cooking and that she runs away from responsibilities. This whole thing about Jenny and the mother is kind of like the mom. The mom is very condescending to Jenny. And it's kind of like, Jenny is being treated like a child. She's a full-grown woman who's lived her life, raised her children. And this woman is treating her like she's just this idiotic 5-year-old. And so, the mom says that the new daughter-in-law has a lot of responsibility in the home and also outside the home as well. And so then the mother starts saying, and the father too, he joins in. They start saying, something like, you're going to have to know how to deal, because we have a large circle of friends. We have a huge circle of friends. And how are you going to feel when you come to our house and people, they laugh at you and they make fun of you because you're so much older. And, if me and you are walking side by side on the street, no one's going to know who's the daughter-in-law and who's the mother-in-law, because you're so much older. And like, how are you going to feel, Jenny? How are you going to feel when people make fun of you because you're so old? How are you going to feel when people think that you're Sumit's grandmother? And Jenny was like, hold up, I look nowhere near like anybody's grandmother. I don't look like Sumit's grandmother. I may look like his mother, but I don't look like his grandmother. And so they just keep on insulting her like, how are you going to feel? You look so old. And what are you going to do if people make fun of you because you're old and you look so much older than him? And Jenny just gets really frustrated. And she says to them, look, this is very disrespectful. I would not come to your home and say demeaning things to you and disrespect you in your home, so please don't do it in mine. And so then all of a sudden they're like, oh, they feel like, oh, Jenny, she's getting angry now. Every time we talk about age, Jenny's getting really angry. And so then Jenny's crying. I think she was crying, or did she have a cold? I don't know. Maybe both. So she gets the sniffles. I think she was crying, and anybody would, because the mom is so mean. And so she starts crying, and then she takes a tissue and she's like wiping her nose, wiping her tears. And then she puts the tissue on, I guess, the plate that she was eating from, her own plate. And then Sumit's parents are like, oh my God, you just did not do that. Did you just use that to wipe your nose and then you put it on the plate? And I mean, they really made a big deal about it. They're like, oh my God, you are so unhygienic. This is so unacceptable. We don't do that here. Look at the plate. You put your used tissue on the plate. And the mom was like, we can't even use that plate anymore. We don't do that here. That is not what we do here. And so the parents like, you need to put that tissue in the trash bin. And so Jenny gets up and she throws it away. Even Sumit told her, yeah, Jenny, you need to put the tissue in the trash bin, not on the plate. And it's just really awful the way they treat her. And so they're like, yeah, we can't use that plate anymore because that's not what we do. And they're like, you see, she has a lot to learn. She doesn't know anything. She doesn't know anything. And so in her confessional, Jenny's like, that what's happening is exactly what she thought was going to happen. That it was just going to be a disaster for the parents to come stay with them. She says they're doing exactly what I expected them to. They're just making my life miserable. She goes, this has happened before. She says, exactly a year ago, they were sitting in my living room throwing insults at me, and it's happening again. Yes, Jenny, it's happening again because you're letting it happen again. You're letting this happen again. You should have put your foot down and said, no, your parents are not going to stay with us. If you really want to be with this man, I don't know. Anyways, Yes, Jenny, it's happening again because you let it. You should have said, no, 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 Submit. Your parents are not going to stay with us. No. And then this need to feel included in his family. If I was Jenny, I would just say, like, you know what? Bump it. If your parents and your family don't want to accept me, they don't want to invite me to family dinners and gatherings or whatnot, I just won't go. It's cool. I just won't go. I'll just see you when you get back home. That's what I would do. So, and the thing is that Submit knew. If he knows anything about his parents, which he says he does, he knew that as soon as his mother stepped foot in that house, it was all over for Jenny. Submit knew that, and he allowed it to happen. And him trying to tell her, oh, but this is them trying to make amends. This is them trying to take a step in the right direction. They're trying to, they're trying to do better. And by them coming over, Jenny, this is them. They're trying to show you that they're trying to be better. Submit, damn well this is not your parents trying to make. Your parents are going to make her life a living hell so that either she goes back to America or you leave her or something. Submit knew this was going to happen. He set her up for failure. He set her up for disaster. Her own man. I don't know if they're married or not. I don't think they are. Your own fiance set you up like this, Jenny. Let me calm down. Okay. So as they're talking in the, after they had dinner or whatnot, the father says that, I guess when things got, let me see, the family will make, okay. So then, the father says something about, they talk about the whole thing about living together. And the father asks Jenny, so do you plan on living separately from us? And Jenny was like, yeah, that's what we've been doing. We've been living separately from y'all. And then the father turns to the mother and says, so what are we doing here? If they don't plan on living with us, living together with with us, why are we teaching her how to be a good daughter-in-law? Like, what are we doing here then? If they're going to do their own thing and live separately, what the hell are we doing here? And so Submit says that, that he wants to live with his family. He wants to go back and live with his parents with Jenny. And Jenny is kind of like, she's like, where is this coming from? And he says that I'm happy living with you. He's happy to live with Jenny, but he really wants to also live with his family. And in her confessional, Jenny's like, she doesn't believe him. She's like, I know he doesn't want to live with his family because he's never brought it up before. He's never mentioned to me, not one time, that he has this desire to live with his family. If anything, it's been the complete opposite. Him talking about how much he wanted to be as far away as possible from his parents, which is true because in previous seasons, he didn't even tell his parents where he lived. When Jenny came to India, he didn't even tell his parents where he was living. He lived in a whole nother province, a whole nother city, a whole nother town. He went hours away or however long it was. He went so far away from his parents because he not only did not want his parents to know where he was living, he didn't want anyone else that he may have known in his old neighborhood to happen to know where he was to tell his parents. So he wanted to be far away from his family, far away from his community, far away from anybody that knew him because he was that dead set on his parents not knowing where he was. Now, all of a sudden, he's talking about, I've always had this dream to live with my family. Oh, God, Submit. Okay, so then Submit sets up his parents in their room, everybody's going to bed. He sets them up in their room, and the mother is telling her husband that, Jenny's really aggressive and she's really angry, which, y'all are insulting her. Y'all are telling her, well, what are you going to do? People make fun of you that you're so old. But no one has other than y'all. Y'all are the ones making fun of her because she's so much older than your son. No one has ever pointed their fingers at, I haven't seen, they haven't shown it on the show, where she's walking down the street and people are making fun of her and laughing at her. Or whenever she met his friends, they were very respectful and they liked her. No one ever made fun of her being old other than the mother. Anyways, so the mother says in her confessional that had to change herself a lot to accommodate her son's happiness. That made me kind of sad, but that's what parents have to do. So you want your child to be happy, to be comfortable. So you kind of have to adjust yourself, because you'll see your children doing things that you're not really crazy about and you wish that they wouldn't. But yeah, you have to swallow that up. And as long as they're not hurting themselves or someone else, if they want to pursue their happiness in whatever way, whatever fashion, you kind of have to just suck it up and, deal with it. And what she's saying about her having to sacrifice her own happiness for her son, that's what all parents do all over the world. Okay. So they're in their room, they're getting ready to go night-night, and then Jenny and Sumit are in their bedroom, and they're talking, and Jenny confronts him about the whole living with the family situation. And she's like, he's always, Sumit says that he's always wanted to live with Jenny and his family, and that's just how it is here in India, because Jenny's like, you've never talked about this to me. And Sumit is like, I know, but I didn't want to mention it to you because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Sumit is so full of that BS. He is a pathological liar. He lies about things that don't even need to be lied about. That's what really irritates me about Sumit. He is lying to her face right now, saying that, oh yeah, I never mentioned that I wanted to live with my parents because it can cause you to be depressed and, it would hurt you. So I never talked about it. I kept it to myself. But, during COVID, I realized how much I really wanted to be with my family and how much I really, really missed them. And, because I was like, Jenny, you're not believing this, are you? Okay. So Sumit said that because he didn't want to hurt her feelings. Once again, he's lying. He's not being upfront. He's not being honest about anything. And then Sumit says that his parents are really trying. And Jenny says, no, they're not. And Sumit says, and then I wonder to myself, Sumit just likes to be spoiled he misses that. With Jenny, he has to be a man. He has to grow up and be a man and have responsibilities because, you have a whole wife to take care of. With his mother and his parents, he doesn't have to. He can just, philander, do whatever. His parents are there to take care of him. The family, the community, whatever, they're all there to take care of him. And when it's just him and Jenny, Jenny is holding him up to American standards of a husband. Whereas in India, his parents are there. They all live in one home. Everyone is sharing the financial cost of everything. And so that life is more appealing to him. I don't understand why Sumit is acting like this is what he's wanted all along. And okay, fine, whatever. But Jenny, why do you believe that? Jenny, pack your bags and go home. You've been chasing this man all over the world for 10 years. Now he's telling you that his goal is to live with the very people that are making your life a living hell. Let me calm down, okay? Whew. Kenny and Armando. Okay, so Kenny FaceTimes with his daughters, and he really misses his daughters. He's feeling very, very homesick. His daughter Cassie is pregnant. I'm not sure if that's the one that came to Mexico, but his daughter Cassie is pregnant, and it's really tough for him that he's not there with her. I think the other daughter says to him, yeah, Dad, when I was pregnant with, his grandson, you were really there for me, and we were really bonded over my pregnancy. And I wonder what that meant. What does that mean that you and your father bonded over your pregnancy? Like, what does that mean? Because obviously if you're pregnant, your parents are going to be really there for you. You're probably going to be even close. Maybe that's what she was talking about, but it was just odd that she's like, yeah, we really bonded when I was, as if there was no bond there, or the bond was kind of weak. And then when she got pregnant, I don't know, maybe the father wasn't in the picture, and Kenny kind of had to step up to be there for her, like with the doctor's appointments and all of that. Maybe that's what she meant. So he talks to his daughters. He's very emotional. Like, he really misses them. He really wants to be home with them. He says he's missing so many milestones with the grandson. He's missing milestones with his children, as far as, for example, Cassie being pregnant. And so he says that sometimes he feels all alone. Now, I've always felt and I've always believed that that Kenny wasn't that crazy about living in Mexico. I'm like, okay, you come from Florida, sunny Florida, where people are a little bit more open-minded, probably South Florida. I'm not exactly sure where he's from. But then you come to a very conservative country, very religious country. And I felt like Kenny just was never really comfortable living in Mexico. He was never really completely happy living in Mexico. That's how I felt. Okay, so moving on from that. So the daughters ask, will you and Armando ever consider coming back to the United States? And he tells them no, because Armando had told him from the beginning that he would never leave Mexico. He has to stay in Mexico because Hannah, her nuclear family is in Mexico. Her Armando's side of the family, her mother's side of the family, she's very, very close to them, and he would not take Hannah away from that. So the option of moving to the U.S. was just never there for Armando. Later on, Kenny and Armando are doing laundry at the laundromat. And this is when Kenny decides to sit down with Armando and tell him, the feelings that he's been struggling with. And so they're sitting there, and it's very emotional for him. And he tells him, I've really been struggling. I haven't been telling you about it, but I'm going to tell you about it now, that I miss home. I'm extremely homesick. My daughter's pregnant, and there's nothing more that I want right now than to be with her. And then Armando's like, okay, you're kind of scaring me. Are you telling me you don't want to get married and you want to go back to America? And not America, because Mexico is in North America. Are you telling me you want to go back to the United States? And he's like, well, no, I'm just, he just says that he really misses home. And Armando in his confessional says that he does feel guilty. He's always felt guilty of taking he's felt guilty for Kenny having to leave his family and come to Mexico to be with him, because Kenny is very close with his children, and it seems like he might be the only parent that they've ever known. So it was hard. It's been hard for Armando to tear him away from his family and his grandson, and so he's carried that guilt for a while. And Kenny says that he feels like he's letting his family down by not being there for them. And this makes Armando feel even worse. And so Armando becomes really emotional, and he starts crying. And he's like, you know what? I don't want your family to resent me because I took you away from them. And Kenny's like, no, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. Because, Armando loves his family, loves his children, and vice versa. The children love Armando. They adore him. And so Kenny's like, no, it's got nothing to do with that, but it is what it is. And so while they're having this conversation, and Armando was crying, because Kenny obviously was emotional, and Armando felt even more guilty because it's like he's the cause of all of this, because he's the one that took Kenny away from his family. And I would think that I was expecting Kenny to reach out and comfort Armando and hold him or hug him or rub his shoulder or hold his hand. But Kenny just sat there really stoic. I think that's the word, really stiff, and was just watching him. And then it was Armando that ended up holding Kenny's hand and trying to comfort Kenny. And I thought that was weird. But ever since Kenny's been to Mexico, and I'm not saying this like I knew him so well before he left Florida, but I've always felt like he's never been comfortable in Mexico. He's never been comfortable in Mexico. And yeah, we know they're going to get married because we've seen the preview. So we know for sure the wedding is going to take place. But, how long is her future in Mexico? Who knows? But that's my review. It went on way too long, like always. I'm so sorry. But if you made it this far, thank you so much. I appreciate it more than you will ever, ever, ever know. Really do appreciate it. Join me again next time. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really like it, go ahead and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.